The Office of the Auditor General is the supreme audit institution of Uganda, mandated by the 1995 Constitution to audit all public institutions and projects funded by the government and the Consolidated Fund. In order for the office to execute its mandate, taxes must be collected by the government. Once monies are collected, the executive arm of government drafts a resource utilization plan through a process known as budgeting. This budget is then presented to Parliament, which debates and eventually passes it once they are satisfied that the key priority service delivery areas have been adequately resourced. Once resources have been disbursed, someone needs to check whether the right services have been rendered at the right price. This is the process known as audit.
We look at government resources and ask ourselves, have they been spent properly? Were they spent well? Were they spent in the most economic manner? And were they spent doing the right thing? And all these issues now come out in a lot of our audit work, which gives the Parliament that ability to be able to scrutinize in greater depth and demand for greater accountability. In other words, holding government to be more answerable for the resources which have been entrusted with them.
As Parliament passes a budget, it's passing a budget for the people of Uganda, saying we have allowed you to do this for us on our behalf. Then, once the budget is passed, it is implemented by the executive in government programs, roads, NADS, education, health, all that the government is now working for the whole year. So in accounting, the Accountant General records everything that is being done. After he has recorded, he comes out with a report which he sends to the Auditor General as a third party to tell the people of Uganda that yes, the money that you gave these guys to use on your behalf has either been properly or improperly used. So the Auditor General, as a third eye, as different from government, as different from the Accountant General, then looks at what government has done and reports back to Parliament that yes, you gave these people this money for building roads, for treating people, for doing all this that they were supposed to do for you as a people, and yes, they have done it.
The accountability sector, which comprises of the Ministry of Finance, the IGG and the Directorate of Ethics and Integrity, is one of the key sectors that the office engages in the process of accountability. Others are the works and transport sector, the security sector, the justice law and order sector, the ICT sector, and the agricultural sector. One of the major breakthroughs of the accountability sector was the mismanagement of funds that was discovered in the office of the Prime Minister.
This was way back in, I think, 2010. We went in there and carried out an in-depth audit. In other words, we went beyond the normal procedures to be able to come up with issues. And in that audit, we were able to establish that about 75 billion shillings had been mismanaged.
Other areas that the Office of the Auditor General is paying attention to include education, health, mineral development, tourism, water and environment, among others. These are key sectors in which a sizable portion of public resources are being committed.
The medicine supply chain involves procurement of drugs by national medical stores, and that the whole distribution up to the health centers where our citizens basically live. And what we've done is to be able to, one, to develop specific audit guidelines to guide all our staff. Two, to develop samples, to select samples that will be audited, samples of health centers that will be visited. And three, coordinating the whole audit process to ensure that the Auditor General have a fair assessment of the service delivery with regard to the medicine supplies.
Whereas the Auditor General's office has previously been synonymous with financial audits, the office has since evolved and is now delivering even more specialized audits.
We have brought on board new services like value for money audit, which was not there, We are able also to bring on board other services like forensic audits and so on, because the public is becoming more interested in accountability. And so these are some of the things that have made the office evolve and become more effective and efficient.
These audits may have since been added to the catalogue of products of the Auditor General's Office, but what exactly qualifies them to be referred as specialized?
We call these specialized audits because we get people from various entities, from various professions to come and assist us in understanding, because a lot of the things that we produce, sometimes an auditor does not know how to really look at it. So we brought engineers on board, we brought lawyers on board, we brought environmentalists on board. So that gives you a better insight, and therefore you're able to give government better guidance.
In order to facilitate a better understanding of what a value for money audit is, the director of this directorate is at hand to explain it further.
Basically, it deals with assessment as to whether the entities, government entities, utilize their resources in accordance with economy, efficiency, and effectiveness. I mean, for instance, we did a value for money audit on the regulation of the construction industry by the Minister of Works. We've done audits under Minister of Health, a project called UHSSP. We've undertaken value for money audits there. We've undertaken a value for money audit on the renovation of health facilities under that project. We've also undertaken one on utilization, procurement and utilization of hospital equipment. We've undertaken value for money audits on public debts, utilization of public debts. We've also undertaken an audit on the child adoption process in Uganda, and actually as a result of our report, Parliament had to amend the enabling law for child adoption.
In addition, the Auditor General has since started implementing forensic audits, another specialized area that the office ventured into in 2013.
These are audits or investigations undertaken with a view of obtaining evidence that is permissible in courts of law. We also undertake IT audits. As you know, in government, there has been this push to computerize the accounting systems that we audit. So it's imperative that we also undertake reviews of those IT systems that generate the financial reports that are compiled by the entities that we audit.
Given the magnitude of work that the Office of the Auditor General must execute in a rather short period, the office has decentralized its operations to the various regions across the country. This branch network has enabled the Auditor General to extend services a little closer to the public.
After we have looked at the annual plans, we have an entrance meeting. Is a meeting between ourselves and the management of the entities, the chief administrative officers, the town clerks, the chief finance officers, and the town treasurers, and managers of referral hospitals. We meet in a conference and we chart out the strategy, how we are going to do the audits, and what our expectations are, what their responsibilities should be. And once we have come out of that audit conference, now it sets us into the actual audit.
This mode of working through interaction between the auditees and the Auditor General's office is being appreciated by accounting officers.
We do wide consultation with the Office of the Auditor General. Immediately after the financial year ends, we receive the officials from this office and we plan on how they can carry out the audit, and we get the details of all the information they would require, and I prepare my staff to ensure that they provide all the documents that are required to facilitate them do their work effectively.
With these kinds of interactions going on between the Office of the Auditor General and auditees, the results are increasingly becoming visible.
Each time we go to audit, we give recommendations and we make a follow-up, and you see less of those mistakes being repeated because we don't leave any stone unturned. we reach every corner where public funds are spent. Be it a water body, be it a spring, be it a Maram Road, be it UPE funds in a school, we will be there.
The Auditor General's Office is mandated to work directly with all accounting officers, both in higher and lower councils. This role has sometimes portrayed them as bad cops who are assumed to be out specifically to find faults. However, the engagement approach that has been adopted by the office in interacting with the auditees is drastically changing this notion.
The audit approach these days is that we are partners with the clients. They now look at us as colleagues. When we got the entities, they feel proud that actually the auditors have come to advise us. Where we have gone wrong, we shall get a way forward. We don't just have to tell them you went wrong without suggesting solutions how best we can improve on service delivery.
One such person is the headmaster of St. Henry's College Chitovu, a mission school in Masaka, commonly known as SHAC.
They have helped me even to know the law better, especially the procurement process, and to the level that the office in Masaka sent their staff to come and train my staff that is dealing with the procurement. You know, the procurement committee is composed of teachers who have not trained to do that job. But I was happy when they came, they gave us a talk, and when they came to audit the second time, they found a different story.
Incidentally, the Masaka Regional Office is not the only one to have impacted on the auditees. The same view is shared of the Fort Portal branch.
There's a process right off from entry meetings that prepare us. In time, we already know what they will want to carry on the audit. And the whole audit process is a kind of interaction. We are like partners. And many times, like you have seen me coming, whenever they need information, you can come at the regional office. Whenever you also need something to submit, it's just kind of relationship to improve the systems, and they are adding a lot of value to our local governments.
The audit has actually made them understand that it is not a bad thing to be audited, that it helps them to put their systems better, and we take that as a compliment on our side.
Despite the decentralization of the Auditor General's operations, which has been credited for the improvement in service delivery, some regions are still stretched. One such region is Mbarara. However, some of the entities in the region are historical.
In terms of entities, we cover about 253 entities that we report on annually. And among the entities, we are privileged to say that we also audit the district that, where the President of the Republic of Uganda comes from, that is Chiruhura district. We also, among the entities that we audit, we have secondary schools like in Tare, where we have 2 sitting presidents in East Africa who studied from there. That's Paul Kagame of Rwanda and His Excellency President Yoweri Museveni of Uganda.
The Office of the Auditor General is also credited for highlighting issues with immediate and direct impacts on the lives of citizens, as highlighted by one of the largest schools in eastern Uganda.
We knew asbestos were a health hazard, but we didn't have a lot of backing until the auditor's report came in. So when the auditor's report was presented to the Board of Governors, what they said was, if the Auditor General has said, is there anything we can do? No, the asbestos have to be removed. So they gave the head teacher a go-ahead to look for money and remove the asbestos.
Incidents of safer school infrastructure are not unique to Mbale region alone, as a similar fate has been registered in as far north as Gulu region.
For example, the basic minimum requirements for education institutions requires that every school, every block in a school building should have a lightning conductor as a safety measure. And we've seen, as a result of our recommendations each other year, schools have gone ahead to improve and ensure that all their buildings have let-in conductors.
As service delivery improvement is being registered, especially in several key sectors, financial accountability and reporting can be said to be following suit.
The attitude of the people has changed. People no longer run away from auditors. They submit their financial statements here in time. And then the issues which we call queries have reduced. And that has simply been contributed by the Public Account Committee of Parliament, and also every district has a Public Accounts Committee which reviews our reports periodically. So all those have contributed to the highlights we have achieved.
Despite the decentralization of the Auditor General's operations, which has led to the improvement of service delivery, the regional officers do not necessarily work in isolation.
Because our worker plans are not isolated, they are derived from the major worker plan of the office, which major worker plan of the office is also we also form part of that worker plan through the branch plan, and then submit them to directorate, which directorate plans are consolidated in the major worker plan of the office. So they do the supervision. We present even our audit plans. They look at them before we execute the work, approve them, and even the procedures we use for executing work are also approved by our bosses at Kampala.
Moses Mubiru's colleague, who happens to sit at the head office in Kampala, concurs with him on this.
Everybody is struggling to bring, quality results, and we monitor here online. Whether headquarters they want to monitor, it is so easy for them, and everybody really works towards achieving, the audit objectives. We really deliver, and it is the teamwork and the cohesion that is really making us excel. And currently, we are actually doing phase 3 and phase 4 audits. We have already completed phase 1, phase 2, and we are pushing on where to produce the audit report.
This notwithstanding, the Office of the Auditor General believes that there is still room for improvement in the processes.
The office is in the process of procuring what I'll call the Management Information System, and this tool is going to help the office build more efficiencies in its workflow processes. It's going to improve on transparency. It's going to be available to every staff in the office, so it will be easily accessed. It will help retrieval of documents, it will help retrieval of financial reports, and we also believe that when we have the management information system in place, we can then negotiate with government to accept the financial operations of the office to be completely independent, because independence is very key to this office.
The 1995 constitutional process, despite being a major milestone in the creation of a robust and vibrant Auditor General, placed the office under public service, the same institution it was meant to audit. This hampered the independence of the office, which therefore necessitated amendments to the enabling law.
It was not until 2005 when again the office was taken out of public service, because in 1995 the office was still a public office. But in 2005 the constitution was revised to take it out of public service.
Amendments may have been made to the enabling law, but what exactly necessitated these changes?
The enactment of the 1995 Constitution, it did not give an in-depth or comprehensive requirement in regard to what is expected of an Auditor General, and that led to the amendment of the Constitution in 2005, which we all refer to as the Constitution Amendment Act 2005, which amplified the functions, the powers and the obligations of the Auditor General, and this gave birth to the independence of the Auditor General. And under that amendment of 2005, the Auditor General was empowered to do his work without having any interference in regard to an authority, an entity or an individual.
Amendments may have been made to the enabling law, but what exactly necessitated these changes?
The office became a corporate entity which could sue and be sued, and indeed we are being sued from time to time. And also the office now was able to take on these other roles of what I called human resource independence. We are able to recruit staff, retain them, remunerate them, and basically we moved into a new direction with new challenges.
In order to execute the rather specialized task of accountability, the right human resources must not only be put in place, but also adequately managed.
The department has come up with a very strong human resource manual, which was approved in 2013. And this human resource manual addresses all concerns and administration of staff. It's amalgamation of many policies, like 13 of them. So they address gender issues, HIV at workplace, recruitment, retention, training, and so forth and so forth.
With the right human resources in place, the Office of the Auditor General has since embarked on a campaign to ensure accountability, especially in key sectors. Indeed, the impact of the Office of the Auditor General has been immense, and as such, the role of the office has come to be widely appreciated.
Me, I was just wondering, if there was no Auditor General, what would happen? If there was no Auditor General, what would happen? In terms of accounting, the financial accounting systems, who would be there to say things should improve? So I'm happy that we are a government put up this institution, which has helped us so immensely to make sure to improve on our financial accounting.
The success of the Auditor General's office cannot entirely be underpinned to the role played by auditors. Several key skills have also been instrumental in the implementation of the audit mandate.
One of the departments is finance administration. We have information technology. We also have a department that supports stakeholders. This department is called Parliamentary Liaison. And also we have a communication unit that supports the process of those who utilize our reports. We also have human resources. We also have a department that is responsible for ensuring that the quality of the audit and the development that is coming out, demanding audit improvements, is properly handled, and that is called quality assurance. We also have a unit that ensures that we are within the law, and that is why we have a unit that is responsible for provision of legal services. We also have a unit responsible for helping us to evaluate what the risks are within the office. We call that one internal audit and risk management.
Indeed, the various units of the corporate division are instrumental in the execution of the audit role. But what exactly does this division's role entail?
We are in charge of strategy. We are also involved in the annual plans of the office and ensuring that those plans are achieved. We are responsible for resources. We also, during the course of the audit, we support them to review and ensure that the report comes out and they get to the stakeholders.
The Auditor General is a key link in the chain of accountability and annually presents audit reports to Parliament. Once the reports have been presented to Parliament for scrutiny, the Auditor General's opinions often form a basis for other organizations to carry out their obligations.
We work very closely with the Inspectorate of Government, the Public Procurement and Disposal of Assets, and indeed the Ministry of Ethics and Integrity, because they coordinate overall government's policy in the fight against corruption.
At present, there are several investigations we are carrying out arising out of reports of the Auditor General. One is that one in the Ministry of Local Government, where we have had very close cooperation. That the investigation started soon after the Auditor General's team left the Ministry of Local Government. We then have the various cases in the Ministry of Health that are being investigated. We have, again, Global Fund, again, Gavi. Those are all results of investigations by the Auditor General.
With public procurement being singled out as one of the areas through which funds are mismanaged, the audit reports have been instrumental in streamlining the process.
We are able to use the Auditor General's overall findings to guide us as PPDA.
we're able to find out which public agencies actually are determined as high risk to the government. And as PPD, because of our limited resources, we therefore target those entities to ensure we follow them up. So actually the Auditor General's report helps us when we are doing what we call risk profiling of the entities to determine which entities pose the largest risk in terms of public expenditure, but particularly with regards to public procurement.
With the exception of the statutory bodies created by law to help check tendencies of corruption in public institutions, some non-governmental organizations that are at the forefront of the fight against corruption have also found the Auditor General's reports useful.
We've had the situations when our reports have been used by the civil society organizations, and they really demand for accountability from those entities for which we have reported.
We're able to use those challenges to advocate. If it's like they produce reports and Parliament doesn't debate them, then we're able to engage with Parliament on such issues of non-discussion of the Auditor General's report. And we've been able to engage with especially the Parliamentary Account Committee, particular members of Parliament, on issues of the Auditor General's report.
Transparency International Uganda, another non-governmental organization involved in the fight against corruption, has also benefited from the Auditor General's reports.
First of all, it feeds into our training programs. Now we know where to train, what to train people on. It also feeds into our advocacy agenda. Where should we advocate? Because usually these reports highlight the gaps, highlight areas of mismanagement of public funds. And that's what we do. We look out for such areas. These reports also help us as an accountability NGO to gauge the level of where Uganda stands, where the country stands on this issue of usage or misusage of resources.
Despite the wide use of the Auditor General's report by several organizations in fostering accountability, public involvement is still considered to be quite low.
You as an individual, you're also helping government to improve. When you're probing somebody and saying, I don't like this part of what you are doing, that person also improves on that area. But when you keep quiet, then you're not doing anything much. So can they read our reports, relate more with us? We are going to come out more to them so that we can improve on the governance of our country.
The dedication and teamwork that has been displayed by the staff of the Office of the Auditor General has enabled the office deliver world-class audit reports that continue to earn the office immense recognition and respect, both at regional and international level.
On the East African scene, we are a member of the East African Audit Board. In other words, we audit jointly with the other Auditor Generals from East Africa, the East African Community. And just last year, we were also appointed as auditors on the African Union. And this coming year, I will become the chairman of the African Union Audit Board. And also on the international scene, we participate in the INTOSAI Working Group on Extractive Industries. One may say, what is INTOSAI? Well, we've got a mother body to which all supreme audit institutions belong to. So supreme audit institutions of the various countries belong to a mother body, which is the International Organization of Supreme Audit Institutions.
Amidst all the hard work, the Office of the Auditor General has also made time to interact with the local communities in which the office operates. This effort is positively impacting on the lives of generations. With several plans already made as to how the monies from the oil and gas industry will be used, especially to develop Uganda's infrastructure, the question that lingers is how prepared the Office of the Auditor General is to ensure accountability once Uganda's first barrel of oil is eventually produced.
We certainly look forward to the knowledge that we'll acquire through the leadership to be able to ensure that the monies that will arise here in Uganda from our oil, and indeed also the extractive industries, will be put to effective use.
The Office of the Auditor General no doubt continues to make progress in the right direction. But what measures are in place to ensure that the office builds on the success that has been attained thus far?
Yeah, the Office of Auditor General has adopted the risk-based methodology in its audits. With this methodology, we profile our audit entities based on how risky they are. We have the high-risk entities, we have the medium risk, and then we have the low-risk entities. What this helps us is that we allocate our resources based on how risky these entities are. Of course, priority goes to the high-risk entities, then the medium, and then the low-risk entities. And this is now applied to all our audits, that is for the financial or regularity audits and also value for money audits.
We are currently doing the theme on drugs to find out how are drugs used in government and what is the effect, what has gone wrong, why aren't our people getting the services they are supposed to get, where are the drugs, what is the price of drugs, is it the right price, where are all our ARVs going, where are they being bought from? So we are starting to focus in particular areas in different years and trying to come out with issues that we can ask government to work on. And we do this not only as financial, but financial, VFM, forensic, all of us together work and see how we can make an impact.
We have, for the last, as long as I can remember, perhaps the last 5-6 years, always produced our audit reports on time. And it's been a joint effort, both by the auditors and also by the support team. This has been a wonderful achievement, and I look forward to seeing it being continued, especially as now we bring in new techniques and new facilities which will help us to improve the efficiency of our audits. I thank you all.